The boat lurched violently to the left, and Marcus grabbed the railing with both hands as the storm swallowed the horizon whole. Rain hammered the deck like stones, and somewhere behind him, he heard his boss, the composed, untouchable Victoria Haynes, scream for the first time in the 3 years he had worked for her. They were 12 miles off the coast of Maine. The engine had died and the emergency radio had gone silent. Nobody was coming for them tonight. And Marcus, a 34-year-old single father, who had spent the last 2 years trying to simply survive, realized with bone-deep certainty that the ocean didn't care about any of it. If this story already has you holding your breath, then you're in the right place. Welcome to Kindness, a channel where real emotions live. If you believe in second chances, in the quiet courage it takes to keep going, please like this video. Share it with someone who needs to feel something real today. Drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from. And subscribe to Kindness, so stories like this always find their way to you. Marcus had taken the corporate sailing retreat because he had no choice. Not really. Victoria had restructured his department twice in 18 months, and every time the axe swung, it somehow missed him. Not out of mercy, he suspected, but because he was the only one who understood the analytics system. He had built from scratch. He was valuable in the way a good tool is valuable, useful, replaceable. When something better came along, he knew that. He went on the retreat, smiled at the right moments, and kept his real life. His 7-year-old daughter Lily, her asthma, the nights she cried for her mother who had walked out 2 years ago, locked somewhere behind his ribs, where no one at work could see it. The retreat had started beautifully. Blue water, warm September air, 8 colleagues laughing on the deck of a chartered sailboat. But when the storm rolled in without warning late Saturday afternoon, the captain made the call to turn back, and that was when the engine seized. In the chaos that followed, a wave knocked 2 of the colleagues into a lifeboat that a deckhand hastily deployed. Others scrambled into a second raft. Marcus had turned to help Victoria, who stood frozen at the stern, staring at the water as if she had never truly seen it before. By the time they reached the last small lifeboat, the sailboat had taken on too much water. They pushed off into the dark, heaving sea, just the 2 of them, a small flashlight, and a survival kit neither of them knew how to use. Victoria Haynes was not the woman Marcus thought he knew. In the office, she wore authority like armor, pressed blazers, precise words, a calendar that never had a gap. But out here, in the cold and the wet and the howling dark, the armor came apart piece by piece. She was shaking badly within the first hour. Not from cold alone, Marcus realized, but from something older and deeper. He asked her once gently if she was all right, and she laughed a strange, hollow laugh and said she hadn't been on open water since her brother drowned when she was 16. He didn't ask anything else. He just moved closer so that his shoulder was against hers, and he kept the flashlight steady, and he talked. He talked about Lily, about how she collected rocks and named every single one, about how she made him read the same 3 books, every night in a specific order or the universe, according to Lily, would not function correctly. He talked because silence out there felt like surrender, and he refused to surrender. Not with his daughter waiting for him at home with his mother, probably already asleep, probably already dreaming about him coming back. Hours passed like decades. Around midnight, the rain softened to a drizzle and the waves settled into a rough but survivable rhythm. They had found a small emergency tarp in the kit and pulled it around themselves. Victoria had stopped shaking, and then, in the dark, she said something Marcus never expected. She didn't ask to be rescued, or wonder aloud about the Coast Guard, or talk about liability or what the company would say. In a voice so quiet he almost missed it beneath the sound of the water, she asked him if she could hold his hand. Not as his boss, not as Victoria Haynes, regional director, just as a person who was afraid and who, for perhaps the first time in a very long time, was willing to admit it out loud. He gave her his hand, and something shifted between them. Not romantic, not transactional, but deeply and simply human. She told him about her brother. She told him she had built her entire career on the belief that control was the only thing standing between her and catastrophe, and that tonight the ocean had proven her wrong in about 4 hours. He told her about the night his wife left, How he had sat on the kitchen floor with Lily, asleep in the next room, and wondered how he was going to do any of this alone. They talked until the sky began to bruise into pale gray, and the distant sound of a Coast Guard helicopter broke through the morning air like a miracle. When they were pulled aboard and wrapped in emergency blankets, Victoria looked at Marcus with an expression he had never once seen from her across a conference table. It was gratitude, yes, but it was more than that. It was recognition. She saw him, not the analyst, not the employee, not the quiet man who always had the right spreadsheet ready, but the full, complicated, tender human being who had held a flashlight steady through a storm so that she would not be alone in the dark. 3 weeks later, Marcus received a new contract. Better title, better hours. Flexibility to work from home on the days Lily's asthma flared up. Victoria delivered it personally. She didn't make a speech. She simply placed it on his desk, met his eyes for a moment, and nodded once. He nodded back. Some things don't need words. He called Lily that evening and asked her what she wanted for dinner. She said pancakes. He made them in the shape of stars, just the way she liked. And when she crawled into his lap afterward and fell asleep, with her small hand curled against his chest, Marcus sat very still in the lamplight and let himself feel it, all of it, the fear, the exhaustion, the unexpected grace of having been truly seen by another person at the bottom of a dark night at sea. If this story moved something in you, if it reminded you that behind every composed face is a person who is also afraid, also trying, also hoping, please comment the word stars below to let us know this reached your heart. And if kindness has ever given you a story that stayed with you, this is the moment to share this video, hit that like button, and make sure the next person who needs it finds their way here too. Stories like Marcus and Lily's deserve to travel far. Thank you for watching and thank you for caring. It matters more than you know.